way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay?
Come on.
You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.
Back in the building for another edition of In the News.
In the news. All right, let's go. Brittney Greiner arrives in U.S. following her release by Russia in prison swap for arms dealer Victor Bout. Brittney Greiner arrives in the U.S. early Friday, landing at Kelly Field in San Antonio, Texas. The WNBA star, who was held for months in Russian prisons on drug charges, was released Thursday in a one-for-one prisoner swap for notorious international arms dealer Victor Bout, bringing an end to an ordeal that sparked intense high-level negotiations between the Washington and the Moscow to secure her freedom. Roger Carstens, the special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, tweeted, "So happy to have Brittney back on U.S. soil. Welcome back, PG." Per standard procedure for freed U.S. prisoners, Greiner was expected to quickly undergo a medical evaluation. So welcome back, Brittney Greiner.
Welcome back. I believe we have a video of this of her return. Let's roll that clip.
Let's do it.
I'm good. What's your mood? Happy. Well, are you ready for flight? Yes. Yes. Good. Ну, вы знаете, куда вы летите?
Do you know where I'm heading to?
No.
No?
No. Вы летите домой.
You fly back home.
To the U.S.
To the U.S.
Да, конечно. Так что все будет нормально.
Everything will be fine.
Wow. So she didn't even know where she was going. She was like, I'm getting on that plane as long as I could get out of here. And I mean, I don't know. I can't see because she has a hat on. I read a headline earlier today. I didn't have a chance to read the story, but the headline said that she cut off her signature dreads because of the freezing cold temperatures in the Russian jail. So I'm going to have to look into that more. I mean, yeah, you think your dreads would help you keep you warm.
Exactly. That's what I would think.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to look into that. But welcome back, Brittney. But it does sound like the trade was a little lopsided. You know, we're getting a WNBA player, and they are getting a notorious arms dealer that I hear was responsible for lots of death. So,
yep.
Hopefully he won't. Hopefully he is reformed. All right, and let's see. Speaking of freedom, Irving touts freedom on game sneakers after split with Nike. In the picture up here, you can see it says "I am free" on his sneakers. Kyrie Irving is a sneaker-free agent, and he used the Brooklyn Nets game Wednesday night to advertise it. Irving played with tape covering the logos on his black sneakers 2 days after Nike ended its relationship with him. "I am free, thank you God. I am" was written in gold marker on the sneakers. During the Nets 122-116 victory over Charlotte, the other side read "logo here." Nike has suspended its relationship with Irving last month as part of the fallout from him tweeting a link to a film containing anti-Semitic material. The apparel marker then announced this week that the split would be permanent. Irving had been a Nike athlete throughout his career, and the company had been set to release the Kyrie 8. His agent, Shirtelia Riley Irving, had said the split was mutual, and it's one Irving seems to be celebrating. One post on his Twitter page Monday said that nothing was more priceless than being free. And others, he thanked anyone who had spent money on anything he released and added that it was time to show how powerful we are as a community. And then we have a comment here from someone named Pac-Man in the article. "I still support you, Kyrie. Whatever you put together next, I will buy it in a heartbeat to support you. Don't let the liberal media dictate you how your fans feel about you. The media has its own agenda. The fans will always love you, your true fans, that is, not the bandwagon ones that jump on every wave." So it sounds like Kyrie's got some support from the community. I'm definitely going to be supporting too, and I'm done with Nike.
You never know. He might even come out with his own shoe brand.
Yeah, do it. Just do it.
Jackson State players okay with Deion Sanders' Colorado move. Happy for him. Deion Sanders has inspired plenty of hot takes since ditching Jackson State to become the head coach at Colorado. Shortly after being announced as the Buffaloes coach last week, he told current players to look at the transfer portal as top recruits eyed up his program. He already landed one 5-star, Winston Watkins, and his son, Shadur, is expected to join him in Boulder. While the journey so far has been fraught with criticism, Sanders' former Jackson State charges aren't among those holding ill will. "All I know is when I heard he did get the job, I was happy for him," junior defense end Jason Mercer told Complex Sports. "That's big. Some young guys were hurt by it, but the older guys, we already know what it is. It was good for him and his family, especially with Shadur. This will give Shadur an even bigger platform now. We already had a big platform at JSU, but the way that it's looking over there now, it's an even bigger platform." Many Tigers players pointed to the legacy Sanders, the outspoken former 2 sports star, will leave behind in Mississippi. In a short time, Sanders built an HBCU powerhouse at Jackson State, going 25-6 over 3 seasons and capturing back-to-back SWAC titles. His success helped him bring in the nation's top recruit, Travis Hunter, while rumors swirled as positions opened up at schools with bigger football profiles. Coach Prime came out of his pocket to build a great HBCU locker room, almost like a Power 5 locker room. Senior cornerback Isaiah Bolden said, "The whole money thing didn't make sense to me, even right now. It's not the money for him, it's more to put his people on. That's how I see it. He did what he said he was going to do. He put HBCUs on the map, in my opinion. Every time on social media you see Jackson State, and now everybody wants to come to Jackson State. It's time for him to elevate and go to Colorado."
Yeah, it sounds like he did some good things during the 3 years that he was out there. But yeah, looks like he needs to make a move that he believes is right for him and his family. And besides, it was costing him money to teach or to coach at Jackson State. From what I hear, it was like $600K that he spent on that locker room.
Yeah, and also, that's what I heard, so don't quote me.
Yeah, don't
Anybody
quote
listen
me.
to it should verify for themselves. But I heard he was even like mowing lawns and stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah,
doing
really
all
going
kind of
above
stuff,
and beyond. Yeah,
So,
so I mean, I wish him the best of luck in his career.
yeah, me too.
Saweetie announces Youth Financial Literacy Program. The Icy Baby Foundation kicked off the initiative in Elk Grove near Sacramento. Saweetie has announced a youth financial literacy program through her Icy Baby Foundation. The Tap In rapper kicked off the initiative in Elk Grove near Sacramento, California in November. The next event is set for December 10th in Oakland, California. That's tomorrow. Youth aged 7 to 17 years old are eligible to participate in the 6-week program and receive a funded debit card, educational resources, and information about saving, budgeting, and financial planning. The program officially launches in January 2023. Quote, "I want to continue using my foundation and resources to financially empower young children and students, especially in Black and Brown communities," end quote, expressed the Grammy award-nominated rapper in a statement. Quote, "The long-term goal for the Icy Baby Foundation is to increase financial literacy amongst kids and propel them to brighter futures. My grandmother and I have worked on this for a few years, so it's exciting to finally implement this course and program for young people," end quote. Quote, "Financial literacy is a systemic problem impacting the Black and Brown communities, especially in lower economic demographic. It is passed down through generations, but it can be broken with education and resources. We are trying to break that cycle through our Icy Baby Foundation," end quote, shared Harper. She continued to detail, quote, "We had 400 students at the Sacramento event, and almost 100 signed up for the 6-week financial literacy course. Those students will receive a debit card with money and an additional fund per each class they complete. We look forward to meeting the youth this Saturday. We will also have a kickoff event later this month in Las Vegas. Our goal is to reach as many young people as we can and educate them about financial literacy before they reach adulthood." Shout out Saweetie. It sounds like her and her grandmother are doing good things for the community and getting people their financial literacy education.
Yep, good for Saweetie.
Yeah, so Saweetie lived in Elk Grove for a while. I believe she was initially from the Bay Area, but lived in Elk Grove during her formative years. So it's great that she's coming back to her communities to start this process. Really commendable.
Absolutely. Speaking of commendable, 18-year-old college student elected mayor of Arkansas City. An 18-year-old college student has been elected to serve as mayor of a small East Arkansas city, becoming one of the youngest people to serve as the city's top leader in the U.S. Jalen Smith, who is black, was elected mayor of Earl in Tuesday's runoff election, winning 235 votes to Nemi Matthews' 183, according to complete but unofficial results. He's among the youngest mayors elected in the United States and would be the youngest member of the African American Mayors Association. Phyllis Dickerson, chief executive officer of the association, told the Arkansas Democratic Gazette that the association's current youngest member is Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb, who is 35. Smith is among a handful of people elected mayor before turning 20, including Michael Sessions, who was elected mayor of Hillsdale, Michigan in 2005 when he was 18, and John Tyler Hammonds, who was elected mayor of Muskogee, Oklahoma in 2008 when he was 19.
Congratulations, young man.
Congratulations. That's what ambition is about, you know?
Right. 18 years old. He's just, barely legal himself and trying to make changes for his community.
Good for him.
Love to see it. All right, this I don't love to see so much, but we're going to read the emotional letter Wendy Williams' son, 22, wrote to the judge before evicted from $2 million Miami apartment. Wendy Williams' son, Kevin Hunter Jr., 22, didn't fight the eviction lawsuit filed against him and instead wrote a heartbreaking note to the court explaining his mother's sad situation, RadarOnline.com learned. According to court documents obtained by RadarOnline.com, back in August, Kevin Jr. was sued for eviction by a company named Kermay LLC. The suit said Kevin's lease expired in February, but he had agreed to continue paying monthly rent. However, they said he failed to pay for several months and owed $69,600. Kermay LLC demanded Kevin be evicted from the home and a judgment for the unpaid rent. The Sun was the first to report on the eviction lawsuit. In response, Kevin wrote a letter to the judge admitting he was behind on rent but blamed his mother's legal issues. And we'll get to his letter momentarily, but the article goes on to say, as RadarOnline.com previously reported, Wendy sued Wells Fargo, accusing the bank of freezing her accounts and blocking access to her fortune. She said she was unable to pay her staff and bills. Wendy blamed her ex-financial advisor, Lori Schiller. The talk show host claimed Schiller told Wells Fargo she was potentially a victim of financial exploitation. For months, Wendy has been attempting to regain access to her money. Now, on to the letter that Kevin wrote to the courts. My name is Kevin Samuel Hunter. I'm 22 years old, born in 2000. I am a full-time student at Florida International University. I have been residing at, and then they have a redacted address here in Miami, Florida, since about March 2021. When I moved in, my mom, Wendy Hunter, rented the apartment for me, paying for a full year plus security up front, with her intent being to purchase it at the end of the lease. At her request, I signed the original lease on her behalf. As the lease approached the end, my mother went through some health issues that put the court in control of her finances. All of this happened suddenly, and all of the financial support that she always gave me stopped, including my housing. My education is paid through a 529 education plan that my mom set up, but can only be released with the court's approval. I had to pause my education for a full academic year because of COVID and to care for my mom. Even though my name is on the lease my mom was paying, And for medical and legal reasons, she has not been able to pay the rent for the past month since the 1 year lease ended and the court has controlled her finances. Everything happened very quickly and unexpectedly, and I had no idea things would end up like this. The funds to pay the arrears will be available and hopefully assessed through the court soon. There is also approximately $20,000 from the security deposit that can be applied to the arrears. I know I need to move and I'm ready to do that within 7 days. So, a very unfortunate story there with Wendy Williams and her son. A lot of the comments were just heartless. They're like, oh, get a job. Why is your mom paying for you? Why are you sitting around waiting for your mom to pay your bills? You're a grown man. But he's a 22-year-old college student. He's still a baby, in my opinion. And I mean, he is grown in the eyes of the law, but that's still very, very young, and a full-time college student. I mean, how much are you gonna be able to do for yourself at that age?
Yeah, very good point. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, he's or was going to school. Hopefully, he will still continue his
Yeah,
education.
hopefully this doesn't deter him from his educational goals.
And you know, it's on top of it with Wendy Williams and her. Looks like her account was I don't know if it's still frozen,
That is
but
another red flag that's raised with Wells Fargo freezing her accounts. And I mean, this seems to be a trend in freezing Black people's finances. I mean, first we had Kanye, now we've got Wendy Williams. I mean,
yeah, that's a big time lawsuit.
very concerning. Yeah.
I mean, if they could do that to them, I mean, they could probably do that to anybody.
Absolutely. So hopefully this works out the best for her and her son, and hopefully Wendy works through her health issues as well.
Yeah, may she recover and recuperate.
For sure.
And come back. No bond for woman charged in death of socialite mom. A judge declined to ease bond conditions Thursday and release a Chicago woman who is charged with conspiracy in the 2014 death of her wealthy mother during a luxury vacation in Bali. The decision means Heather Mack, 27, will remain in custody without bond while awaiting a July trial in federal court in Chicago. Mack was arrested in Chicago in November 2021 after serving more than 7 years in an Indonesian prison for her role in the killing. The body of her socialite mother, Sheila Von West Mack, was stuffed in a suitcase and left in a taxi outside a hotel on the island of Bali. Although Mack was convicted in Indonesia, U.S. prosecutors filed their own case accusing her of conspiring with her then boyfriend Tommy Schaefer before they traveled to the islands in 2014. Defense attorney Michael Leonard said Mack has behaved well while in custody and would not pose a flight risk or a threat to the public if granted bond. He cited her loving relationship with her 7-year-old daughter, who was born shortly before Mack and Schaefer were convicted in the death of Von Weiss Mack in 2015. But U.S. District Judge Matthew Kinley declined to release Mack. There are plenty of reasons to believe she would pose a danger to others, he said.
So this happened in 2015, you say?
14.
Oh, 14. And do we know why?
Why supposedly she killed her mom? I don't know.
The story doesn't say. Okay. I'm just trying to wonder, so what's the new development here? Why is this news today?
Well, I guess supposedly she's about to her case is about to be starting soon. So I guess that's why this is pretty much in the news right now. So
Okay. All right. Well.
So yeah, it's just all these young people, man, just doing
Yeah,
just
it's just
unfortunate
senseless
things,
to
man.
kill your parent, the only one in this world who loves you unconditionally. Tragic. And she has a daughter.
Yeah.
So her grandmother, her daughter's grandmother, I mean, just horrific and senseless.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm sure as the case goes on, I'm sure there'll be revealing more information. But I don't want to speculate or guess, but it's just really unfortunate. I know there's some other stories that we probably won't talk about in the news. With these young folks, unfortunately, either killing them, their own peers, like Shanquilla, and I guess there was another story that we were briefly talking about that we probably won't cover it, but I believe a young man ended up killing his mom over
Young boy,
Young
we
boy?
gotta get the language right. He was a 10-year-old kid,
Oh,
a
he was
child.
10. Okay, so he was a boy. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure of the story. So okay, he's a
Right. Well, they're
boy.
trying him as an adult.
Wow.
I mean, but it was very callous. I mean, he's very young, but it seemed to be behind the fact that she, wouldn't buy him an Oculus game. And, he doesn't even know. Maybe it would have been under the Christmas tree for him if he would have been a good boy for Santa. But he ended up killing her and ordered the Oculus device anyways. And then even then when he's being questioned and stuff like that, they he asking his grandma, did his package show up?
Wow.
So I don't know what's going on, that our youth are so desensitized
Yep.
from reality.
Absolutely.
And speaking of reality and being void of it, this guy here, JC Pearson, I guess he has something to say on Twitter. The case against reparations is simple. Nobody alive today was a slave, and nobody alive today owned a slave. This new proposal isn't rooted in generosity, it's rooted in control, and I'm done being a slave on the left's plantation. Let's take a look at the video that he felt necessary to put together to relay these thoughts.
Fox News reports that a new California reparations proposal could mean $223,000 per person in payments for black residents. Guys, when I saw this story, I had to sound off and make one thing crystal clear. I don't want it, and no black American in California should want it, and no black American across the country, because they're trying to make this national, should want it either. Why? Number one, because no one alive today was a slave and no one alive today was a slave owner. Let's deal with that first. But also, too, because the left does this all the time. They dangle a carrot in front of black Americans' faces and they say, we'll toss you a few dollars, we'll toss you some money, as long as you behave. They're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it in the interest of control. If you actually want to help black people, how about you help keep their communities safe? When was the last time they've ever tried to do that? Because I can't remember. Reparations isn't going to stop young black children from getting shot in the south side of Chicago due to decades of incompetent radical leftist leadership. Reparations won't do a single thing to solve that. Help black people create businesses and wealth, not dependency.
Oh, no. I've never seen that video. Don't know, dude. Yeah. All I gotta say is this, and I think you're gonna continue, but racist white supremacy is a hell of a drug.
I mean, he really just could have kept that to himself. Some of the comments on his Twitter post, one right here from our very own Nacho Negro Friedman, aka Chad Boogie. Someone explained the concepts of inheritance and generational wealth to this young man. He is sorely misinformed. Reparations is a debt owed by the U.S. government to American freedmen. Couldn't care less about how it makes you feel. You're also free to wave your benefits. So that part, I mean, anybody who doesn't want it can just simply waive their benefits. Maybe put it back into some kind of a trust um, for future generations.
Or
Well,
better
you
yet,
keep on bootstrapping it.
Or better yet, how about you become eligible and then give it back to the American Freedmen Fund? How about you do that?
Yeah, that's what this trust I'm talking about is.
Oh, okay, that's the trust.
We working on proposals, so that's already in the works.
Facts.
The American Freedmen Fund. But yeah, just no need to speak on it. Just
yeah, bro.
Keep it to yourself.
Speaking of people should keep their words to themselves, former RB Herschel, former running back Herschel Walker loses Georgia runoff election. If you're under a rock, probably didn't know this, but anyway, this is in the news. Republican challenger Herschel Walker, the former Heisman Trophy winning running back, lost to Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in a Georgia runoff election Tuesday, ensuring Democrats an outright majority in the Senate for the rest of President Joe Biden's term. Neither reached the general election majority required under state law last month, leading to Tuesday's runoff. Warnock's win gives the Democrats a 51-49 Senate majority, gaining a seat from the current 50-50 split with John Fetterman's victory in Pennsylvania. There will be a divided government, however, with Republicans having narrowly flipped House control.
Yeah, so I guess it was a pretty tight race, and that's why they had to have a runoff. It was just bad choices all around in this election, unfortunately. So, pick your poison, right?
Yeah, the thing about it is, like, between Warnock and Herschel Walker, you're like, okay, who am I going to really pick? But, it's really unfortunate because, somebody like Marcel Dixon, who was running for Senate out in South Carolina, approached Warnock about, if people haven't, seen the video floating around the internet where Marcel Dixon, approached Warnock about reparations, and prior to that, he was talking to a white woman, giving her attention, and the brother was like, "Hey, what about?" And he just basically turned his back on brother Marcel. So, hopefully, black folk in Georgia are going to do their due diligence with Warnock and start asking for things that our black folk in Georgia desperately need.
Hopefully, but I saw the data, the charts, and black people overwhelmingly voted for Warnock. So, sometimes it's too late to try to hold them accountable after you cast your vote.
Well, yeah. However, it's regardless, before the vote, during the vote, after the vote. Well, I should say, yeah, before the vote, after the vote, and during their term, you always got to press your politicians because they're supposed to be serving the people. So
for sure, they work for the people. You work for me. Don't get twisted. Let's see what's going on with Harry and Meghan slam British tabloids in new Netflix series. Have you seen this?
I have not seen it.
All right, let's see what's going on here. I haven't seen it either. The media's treatment of Meghan and what the couple felt was lack of sympathy from royal institutions about the coverage were the heart of their complaints when they walked away from royal life almost 3 years ago and moved to Southern California. Lucrative contracts with Netflix and Spotify have helped bankroll their new life in the wealthy enclave of Montecito. Promoted with 2 dramatically edited trailers that hinted at a war against Meghan, the Netflix show is the couple's latest effort to tell their story after a series of interviews with U.S. media organizations, most notably a 2-hour sit-down in 2011 with Oprah Winfrey. The first 3 episodes break little new ground on royal intrigue, leading one British-based analyst to conclude that the main audience Harry and Meghan are trying to reach is in the United States. The series is an effort by Harry and Meghan to cement their place in American society where fame and riches await, say David Howe, chief executive of Brand Finance, which has analyzed the monarchy's value to the UK economy. Quote, they are trying to become the next Kardashian family, and they are using the fame and notoriety of the monarchy as their stepping stone to get there, end quote, he said. Quote, no one would take the remotest bit of interest in either of them if they weren't strongly associated with the UK monarchy, end quote.
Wow.
I mean, he got that right, I guess. Yeah. I don't care.
They're like, yeah, there's, but it's, I mean, just it's interesting because in this article is mentioned Spotify, and wasn't it at one point Spotify was supposed to be helping out the black community?
They were. I mean, they always throw out these statements. There was a pot of money that was supposed to help black
after Joe Rogan or something said all those N-words.
So I don't know whatever happened there. I believe we reached out to, or at least we started the Spotify account, and I thought we reached out to somebody too and said, hey, where the money at? And never got a response.
So yeah, obviously they're bankrolling like, you know, Harry and Meghan, but you know, can't help out their own Americans.
Yeah, that's probably the black assistance that they provided right into Meghan's pocket.
Boom. Texas cop didn't say gun before fatal shooting. A Texas police officer who fatally shot a black woman through a rear window of her home 3 years ago didn't say the woman was holding a gun before he pulled the trigger and never mentioned the weapon before searching the house. The officer who was with him that night testified Tuesday. Fort Worth officer Carol Darch's testimony in Aaron Dean's murder trial for killing Tatiana Jefferson spoke to a key issue in the case, whether Dean saw Jefferson's gun before he opened fire. Dean's lawyers say the white officer saw the weapon, while prosecutors contend that the evidence will show otherwise. Darch, 27, took the witness stand on the second day of the long-delayed trial and recalled Dean shooting the 28-year-old Jefferson while the officers were responding to a call about an open front door on October 12, 2019. She acknowledged having memory problems because of 2 strokes she has suffered since then. On Tuesday, Darch recalled that she and Dean thought Jefferson's home might have been burglarized and that they went into the backyard, guns drawn, looking for signs of forced entry. She said as she scanned the back of the yard, she heard Dean yell and fire a shot before she could fully turn around. Body cam footage showed that neither officer identified themselves as police at the house. Dean's attorney said Monday that Dean opened fire after seeing the silhouette of Jefferson with a gun in the window and a green laser sight pointed at him. Darch testified that when she turned, all she could see in the window through which Jefferson had just been shot were eyes as big as saucers. The only thing I could see was eyes, really, she said. I couldn't see if it was a male or a female, just eyes. Darch testified that Dean never said, quote, gun, end quote, before he opened fire and that he didn't mention a weapon as the 2 of them rushed into the house. A recollection supporting by body camera footage played in court. In the footage, the officers could be heard yelling, hands up and show me your hands, as they searched the house. But Dean couldn't be heard mentioning a weapon until he was looking at the gun next to Jefferson's body. Darch recalled seeing the laser sight on the dropped gun.
Wow, such incompetence in our police force.
Absolutely.
Don't say gay. Florida lawmaker indicted on fraud charges. Tallahassee, Florida. The Florida lawmaker who sponsored the controversial law Critics Don't Say Gay has been indicted on charges of defrauding a federal coronavirus loan program for small businesses, officials said Wednesday. Federal prosecutor said Rep. Joe Harding, 35, illegally obtained or tried to obtain more than $150,000 from the Small Business Administration in pandemic aid loans. He is being charged with 2 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of money laundering, and 2 counts of making false statements. Harding, a Republican, became nationally known this year over his sponsorship of a law that forbids instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade, as well as material that is not deemed age appropriate. Quote, I want the public and my constituents to know that I fully repaid the loan and cooperated with investigators as requested, end quote, Harding said in a written statement. The Republican Speaker of the Florida House Representatives has temporarily removed Harding from his committee assignments in legislature. The trial is scheduled for January 11th. These people are just so corrupt.
And, and it's just like, people keep talking about, oh, black people, the handouts of reparations, handouts. We with no government and all this, dude. And these people are constantly with their hands out, grabbing
constantly
stuff
the welfare kings
funds
and queens, yeah. And then, but then when you we try to go after it, it's a problem.
Some people get blocked,
Yeah, we not listening to none of that noise no more.
It's a new dawn. All right, so St. Louis Mayor Tishara Jones signs executive order to appoint reparations commission. A 9-member commission will examine the city's long history of racial discrimination and propose ways to repair the harm. St. Louis has joined other state and local governments to explore the possibility of compensating residents who are descended from slaves for generations of discrimination and inequality. Local station KSDK reports that St. Louis Mayor Tishara Jones signed the executive order on Wednesday, December 7th, to create a reparations commission. Commission members will assess the history of slavery, segregation, and other race-based harms in the city of St. Louis, explore the present-day manifestations of that history, and ultimately recommend a proposal to begin repairing the harms that have been inflicted, the executive order states, according to KSDK. The 9-member volunteer commission must include at least 1 attorney, 1 clergy member, 1 public health professional, a professor at a local college, as well as someone between 15 and 18 years old. That's interesting. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported they must also reside within the city's limits. The commission is expected to begin work in 2023. Jones said residents must recognize that the city's long history of segregation, exploitation, and violence has made St. Louis one of the most divided cities in the nation. Looks like there's some. Is that Twitter?
Well, these were actually comments.
From the
article. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not Twitter. These are comments, I'm assuming, from BET. It's called welfare. The only person I know of that owned slaves was Kamala Harris' family. Let her pay reparations by guest, whoever that is, and Jacob Collins or something. They ought to pay the families of the men who died to free them. A lot of money they owe. Okay. Yeah, a lot of misinformation there from the comments, but here we go.
I mean, it's to be expected. I mean, what I find interesting about this is the 9-member task force or commission sounds like somebody's paying attention to what's going on out here in California, which is what we were hoping for, to be a blueprint for other, reparations commissions and task force that come together. So.
Yeah, I wish them luck. I wish them much success. And I'm actually quite impressed with them wanting to have somebody between 15 and 18 years old on the commission. That is very progressive, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that should be interesting. St. Louis should be one to watch, and absolutely right about the long cities, long history, segregation, exploitation, violence. That was my mom's first stop when she was, migrating from the killing fields of the Louisiana South. First, she ended up in St. Louis, and she said that was just no good. It was not much better than Louisiana. So they continued her center out here to live with another family. Sacramento is where she ultimately landed. But yeah, she was in St. Louis for a while, and they were like, we gotta get our baby girl out of here.
Wow.
All right, and more reparations news, as you should know, if you tuned in last week, the California Reparations Task Force has a 2-day meeting coming up next week in Oakland on the 14th and 15th. And let's see, we'll just go over really quickly some of the things they plan to discuss. Task force will begin to refine community of eligibility standards, including residency requirements. 2, the task force will be inviting leaders from local municipal reparations efforts from across the state to share their incredible work, i.e. Oakland, Los Angeles, Berkeley, Russell City, Palm Springs, etc. Hopefully Sacramento, the capital of California, will end up on this list and come out and talk about what they're doing for reparations. I mean, it will be a very short list, but we got to start somewhere. But seriously, look, we've got the mayor of St. Louis here signing executive orders to get things cracking, and now here we're just moving at a snail's pace in the capital.
Yeah, I mean, especially since Mayor Steinberg, he's part of that. I guess it had some kind of.
It's called MORE, the MORE Mayor's Commission, and nothing's materializing.
Snail's pace. It's like, bro.
A snail with salt on it.
Snail with salt sizzling on the ground.
Sizzling. All right. And number 3, it will be the first time task force members will collectively discuss and begin to determine what types of reparations proposals will be in the final report released June 2023. So that's something to look forward to next week. If you're in the Oakland area, this is an in-person 2-day meeting. So come on out to the Oakland City Hall Council Chambers in Oakland. Or if you're just unable to make it, be sure to tune in at the DOJ website or right here at ETM Media.
Yep. So once again, that is on the 14th and the 15th. Right here at YouTube, ETM Media Group. So right here, we definitely looking forward to this one. This is going to be monumental. This is going to be history.
Yeah, we're finally getting down to brass tacks business.
Absolutely. So I guess that's about it. That's in the news.
That's in the news.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.